this is the first full video, other than the channel trailer, which I did about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, and as the screen suggests, it's about the cosmological argument, and it's the basic level. In other words, the things which you need in order to write essays. So this is the very ground that you can't get more basic than this. It was made by Aquinas. There are other forms of cosmological arguments, but you don't necessarily need them for the exams. You can do without them, if you understand what I mean. The argument is based on experience and therefore is empirical. This means that the stuff which we see is used for the argument, and however, it being empirical does mean that there are other conclusions, like the argument doesn't necessarily need to lead to God. However, that's for the weaknesses, which I will get to at a later date. The cosmological argument was made to answer the principle of sufficient reason, which is, as the screen says, why there is something rather than nothing. Like, for example, the Big Bang. The principle of sufficient reason would be, why did the Big Bang happen? Because the theory of the Big Bang says basically nothing went bang, and technically the Big Bang isn't really a good name. It's more expansion theory, but expansion theory isn't as catchy, so you wouldn't have the Big Bang Theory TV program. But oh well. Aquinas' cosmological argument in fact has 5 ways. However, you only need the first 3 ways: motion, causation and contingency. One of the main characteristics of all the 3 ways is the rejection of infinite regress, which I shall go into further detail later. This is the first way. All things have potentiality and actuality. This applies to motion and state. Motion as in movement, like for example me running to a certain place. I am actually in my home, but potentially I could be at Tesco, for example, or any other supermarket. Nothing can change itself. That's pretty obvious. That when kicking a football, the football doesn't move by itself. You move it. Therefore, there's a mover. In terms of state, what that means is what it actually is. For example, a tree potentially could become a chair, or a table, or coal, or fire, or something like that, and so on and so forth. The potentiality and actuality are mutually exclusive. What this means is that something can't be what it potentially is. In other words, a CD is actually a CD, but because it is a CD, it can't be potentially a CD because it is. The causal adequacy principle, CAP, basically, was made by Descartes, and it was the actual quote: "The cause of an object must contain as much reality as the object itself, whether formally or immanently." Basically, nothing comes from nothing, which is similar to, which is the Lucretius's quote, "Ex nihilo nihil fit." Yes, Latin was a strange language, but I kind of wish Latin still existed, so I would understand all of the quotes. And plus, I can't be bothered to study Latin because no one uses Latin anymore, apart from the Pope, and even then the Pope's unlikely to use Latin every day. And plus, Latin, it counts as a dead language, even though people know about it, because of Latin is no one's first language anymore. That's the definition is, and I'm going on tangents a lot. Get used to it. Right. So, in order for things to change, there must be a changer. And according to Aquinas, that's God. The second way. Looking at the world around us, there is a cause and effect. This is back to the empirical bit. And I did an example there. A footballer kicks a ball, the ball moves. The kick is the cause and the movement is the effect. Nothing can be the efficient cause of itself. This is going back to the cap thing. If we trace back far enough, there must be a first cause, caused by no other. This is where the saying, an uncaused cause. Yeah, basically. And the next bullet point is saying why. Because if there was an infinite regress, then there would be no first cause to cause the next cause. For example, I exist because of my parents, and they exist because of their parents. However, if that went on forever, then there would be no first humans to cause the second humans, and then the third humans, and so on. And according to Aquinas, the first cause is God, which is similar to Aristotle's prime mover. I will say the first way and second way are quite similar in argument. On to the third way. A contingent being came into existence. And going back to the example which I used before, a human relies on their parents and so on. It goes on for quite a long while. From experience, we see that that everything in the universe comes into and out of existence. In other words, a sun or star, only we get to call our star the sun, because it's special and it's ours. Yes, but stars at some point came into existence, and then at some point will no longer exist or change into something else. And by saying that everything in the universe is contingent, making the universe contingent itself, that there's a fallacy of composition there, but not really. So I'll go into details about the fallacy of composition in a later video, probably about maybe a month, maybe less. And because the universe is contingent, it relies on something which is necessary to exist. A necessary being cannot not exist. In other words, it had to. There was no other way. The necessary being must be outside the universe in order to exist, because if the necessary being was inside the universe, then the necessary being would be, in fact, contingent, and that can be linked to the Kalam argument, which is a Islamic idea, and it was the view that the universe is everything, including all of time. So that means if the necessary being was inside the universe, it would also be inside time, which would mean it would rely on something to create time. But that's not how it goes, and the necessary being, according to Aquinas, is God. I think I'm spelling Aquinas right. Hopefully I am. Well, I did check. So the rejection of infinite regress, which goes through all of the three ways, as I mentioned earlier. However, the rejection of infinite regress is mainly seen in the third way, and it goes, contingent beings are temporary since at some point they came into existence, as I said before. Contingent beings cannot regress infinitely as they are temporary by nature. In other words, for example, let's pick something which we would all have. A pen. A pen at some point was created. In other words, it had a maker. However, the maker of the pen would also be contingent, because it is inside the universe. And that would have a cause, and that would have a cause, and so on, until you get to outside the universe, and then there's God. Oh, bother. Let's just go that from current slide. Yeah, typo. And what that basically means is the only explanation for the existence of contingent beings is a necessary being. So, with the cosmological argument, it is basically the choice between an explanation or no explanation. In other words, if there is how do I say this? Something, as you see, there's a reason for it. For, as I used before, the kicking of a football, there's a reason why the ball moves. However, if you reject the cosmological argument, then the ball just moves with no reason, and that goes against the logic of the universe which we are in. Therefore, there must be a reason why it happens, and that was a footballer kicking it. And yeah, that's it. I hope you have learned anything and enjoyed, and the videos will get better and better, and so will my scripting. In fact, I didn't actually script anything. I just I just basically read from the slide and went, however, there's also this. You'll notice I'll do that a lot and go on a lot of tangents, which is somewhat good. However, in writing essays, the tangents must be connected. By that I mean the Kalam argument can only really be connected to the universe. If I go the Kalam argument with the footballer, it doesn't really work. And there you go. So, see you next time.